Welcome everyone to another episode of For the Fans. We are here, we are live, and we are all doing super good. It's a nice Saturday. It's getting evening for us, but we got football tomorrow. We had football on Thursday, which was a very interesting game to watch from my personal opinion. Would you agree?
I would. That was that.
I don't even know what to call that game, honestly. That game was just weird.
Yeah, there was just nothing pleasant about that game. But we'll get into that, won't we?
Yes, we will. So let's start off with a little bit of news around the NFL. McKay, kick us off and start us off. You there? McKay? McKay's mic seems to be having some issues right now, so this is always the fun part of the show, where I just keep talking. Gonna let him know, see if his mic, because I don't know if he can hear me, so I'm just messaging him. Do. Oh, yep, there he goes, there he goes. So, should expect him to come back any second. Looks like his internet just cut out, so this is the start of a new issue, is that his internet is cutting out.
No, I'm here. I got this. This is weird.
We're off to a great start already.
Hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Jeez, Louise. I already yell at someone in my house. I'm like, who's stealing the internet?
See, that's why I have a dog. I can just blame the dog for it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I'll blame my kid.
Alright, kick us off with a little bit of news, McKay.
All right, so just our two little bits of news here. This is kind of already general knowledge, but this has to do with the little bits of COVID-19 that are starting to edge its way into the NFL, and we'll kind of go into this a little bit more as time goes on. But the Titans and Steelers game has been postponed to later in the season due to a COVID-19 outbreak among the Tennessee Titans. From what I have been hearing, it will be rescheduled till October 25th. They're pushing that one back quite a bit. I'm a little sad about that because I feel like that would be a good matchup. Shane's not complaining, though, about the fact that the outbreak originated with the Titans.
You know, so we all know here that I bash a lot on the Patriots, and I have other teams that I don't like the Giants, and not the biggest fan of the Panthers, but that's for a different reason. I really just don't like the Titans in general. Like, they're probably the one team that I just like, yeah, no, I'm okay if we get rid of them completely.
Your thoughts on the Titans are similar to my thoughts on the Packers, let's be honest.
Makes sense. Division rival. The sad thing is, they're the one division rival that I actually do not like.
Yeah.
I like the Texans. I like the Colts, even though they ran the division for over a decade. I like both of them. I don't like the Titans.
Well, and I mean, it's interesting, too. It's a little bit of a bummer, just to the extent of the fact that both these teams were undefeated, and so they were going to face off against each other, and we kind of get to see who is the superior of the team, but it looks like that's going to have to wait.
Yeah, now I was rooting for the Steelers to win it too. I think the Steelers.
Uh,
I thought the Steelers were the better team on paper and would just kind of blown the Titans out.
yeah. But that's not the only game that is getting postponed or messed with somehow this week. Shane, there's another one that also we just found out is getting messed with as well.
Yeah, because what the news came out, I think today that Cam Newton has tested positive for COVID-19, so the Patriots and Chiefs game that was coming up has also been postponed.
Now that one may happen later this week, but there's no guarantee on that way yet because they were saying the same thing earlier about the Titans and Steelers game, and then that got pushed all the way back to the end of the month. So we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I feel like that kind of favors the Chiefs and Andy Reid a little bit more just because Andy Reid does real good when he has time to plan for a game.
This is true, but the Chiefs also have some positive tests in their group as well, so it'll be interesting to see if that affects them at all.
Yeah. Hopefully Patrick Mahomes doesn't have it. I would hate if he had it because he's such an awesome player. I love him.
Yep. Shane, that brings me to a question that I wanted to ask you. Just with your personal feelings, this is sort of like, it's not a for the fans thing, but it's something that I kind of, or not a for the fun thing, but it's something that I kind of wanted to ask you right now just to kind of gauge what your thoughts are. Who do you think, as of right now, are ranked are the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and who do you think are the 5 worst quarterbacks in the NFL?
Ooh, I gotta say, okay, are you wanting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, I do. And then like with worst quarterbacks, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2. 1 being this is the worst quarterback in the NFL right now.
Okay, do you want to do that now, or you want to do that towards the end?
Oh, let's do that right now. I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh my goodness!
I legit think I know who my top 5 are. I'm still kind of trying to debate who I think are the bottom 5. I know who the worst one is in the NFL right now.
I want to know who I want to know who your worst one is because it might be different from mine. Okay, so the 5th best quarterback. I'm trying to think of like all the current starters. Let's see.
Let me tell you who I think are the 5 best right now.
Actually, I think I got them. So you go ahead.
Okay, you go. Okay, so I'd say at number 5, Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen could honestly be an MVP candidate if there weren't so many other really good quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I mean, that dude threw 5 touchdowns, just to get them past the Rams earlier this week, which we will go over in the wows and the woes. I think he's actually doing a really solid job, and it's a difference from last year where they kind of just told him, hey, don't make any mistakes with the ball and just let the defense do all the work.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think he's at number 5. I would say he's more like number 7. I definitely think he's a top 10 QB, though.
Okay, so I'm going to go with number 5 because with him at number 5.
See,
my number 4 pick is Lamar Jackson.
Really? The MVP's going down to number 4?
Only going down to number 4 just because I feel like, yes, he is a fantastic rushing and he's a great scrambler, but I feel like when he tries to go for the pass game, it doesn't work well for him. We saw that with the Chiefs and Ravens game that happened this week as well. So that is why he's going down to number 4 on my list.
Okay.
Number 3 is Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, okay.
That dude's having a killer season right now. That guy is still staying relevant. And it's just super impressive what he's been able to do. He's number 3 on my list.
Okay.
Number 2, this is gonna surprise you. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes.
I can see you saying that. I think I know who your number 1 is.
So number 2 obviously is Mahomes. Yes, he's fantastic. The only reason I have him at number 2 is because number 1 has to be Russell Wilson.
Yeah. You want to know something? I think my list is basically the same as yours. I'm not ready to give Josh Allen the number 5 yet. Just because I'm going off of solely of like their history as a QB as well. My number 5 is personally going to go to Drew Brees. I think he's just had that really one bad week, but I think it's been pretty solid overall, and he also didn't have his number 1 go-to receiver in Michael Thomas that week.
And see, I could see that, but I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I love Drew Brees, but I'm going to be honest with you, I would put Drew Brees right now at like number 8. And I would put Brady at number 7. I put Brady at number 7. I put Roethlisberger at number 6.
Oh, yeah, see, I can't put Brady ahead of Brees. I think Brees is slightly better than Brady. I think Brady has a lot more weapons around him than Brees does right now.
I can see that. And continue with your ranking.
So at 5, I got Brees. At 4, I think I'll agree with you. Lamar Jackson at number 4. Aaron Rodgers at 3. Mahomes at 2. Wilson at 1.
How about the 5 worst QBs in the league? I know who my number 1 is. I got to think of like who the worst one is right now, but I got to think about who the other 4 are that are going to fit on that list.
Here's the intriguing question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are we only doing current stars, like people that are currently starting?
No, I think we could venture into say if they have started a game or are starting a game, then we can throw them in there. You know
From
what I
this
mean?
season? Okay.
Just from this season. Um, yeah,
I have my number one. My number one's pretty obvious.
yeah. I'm trying to think. I just have to remember who my number. If I would put this person in at number 5.
I got two.
Let's see. I think I'm like, oh man, who do I throw in there? That I'm like, oh, who goes into my number 5? Oh wait, no, I know who's going to my number 5. Okay, all right, let's. Okay. Want me to do my list?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, this is going to surprise you. Number 5 is Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, I knew you were going there. For the second you're like, oh, I know who's going there because I'm like, that's why I asked the question. I'm like, Trubisky's probably gonna be in this bottom 5.
But here's the thing: is I thought I was going to rank him like lower and say he was one of the worst. He was worse than that. But I was like, you know what? The other QBs that I'm thinking of, they're worse than he is. So he goes in at number 5 as one of the worst QBs in the league right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would put him in there. Number 4. Reason I'm putting him here instead of lower down is just because of his performance on Thursday. I'm going to put Sam Darnold at 4.
You're putting Sam
Because he
Darnold
did
at
have that
4?
I only because I was impressed by that rushing touchdown that he did on Thursday.
Okay. I'm sticking with you for now.
Okay, so he's at number 4. Number 3, I got Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Just Daniel Jones. I mean, that dude can't hold on to the football.
Okay.
Number 2, Wayne Haskins.
Really?
Yep. I think Haskins he's been throwing a lot of interceptions, and I just don't see him as a very effective quarterback, and I think he's a big weakness for that Washington football team right now of why they're not getting things done. But number 1, I feel like he is the king of the interceptions right now, and he is, in my opinion, especially after his past performances, he is the worst regressing quarterback in the league right now, and that is Carson Wentz.
So, I will agree. Mitchell Trubisky at number 5 for me.
Huh?
I would say Dwayne Haskins might be at number 4 just because I feel like he doesn't have too many offensive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Daniel Jones is my number 3. Kind of same reason for you. Carson Wentz, I will say, is my number 2.
Huh?
Sam Darnold is my worst quarterback.
You're putting Darnold at 1.
Okay, so I sent you that video through Facebook of literally watching him get sacked by a ghost. The ghosts are back for him.
I know you sent that. My biggest issue with that though is it's like, okay, Darnold, and it's the same reason that you brought up with Haskins, but Haskins doesn't have the weapons. I really don't think that Darnold has very good weapons. Le'Veon Bell's injured. He's got Jamison Crowder, but again, it's all inconsistent stuff like that. I understand that Darnold is not a good quarterback, but the only reason that I am putting him above, say, someone like Daniel Jones or Dwayne Haskins or even Carson Wentz is because he did slightly redeem himself with that impressive rushing touchdown that he did on Thursday night.
I will agree he did redeem himself, but as a elite level professional quarterback, you literally can't run back 5 to 10 yards and fall down on your own with nobody anywhere near you. That's
Shane. Remember, this is the New York Jets. Also, if we discount the Jets, you shouldn't be able to run and smack your head into the butt of your own offensive lineman. And that happened. It was the Jets.
Oh, I know. The classic butt fumble and everything.
Yes, so don't forget, this is the New York Jets we're talking about here.
So, is it more of they just have a really bad string with quarterbacks, or is it just consistently a bad team? Because I think like back in the early 2000s, they were actually like in the playoff picture and looking to take a run at the AFC East.
You are correct. I think it's just kind of been a bad little run the past little while. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. It hasn't been really all that good for the Jets since Joe Namath back in the 60s.
Yeah. I mean, my personal thing is Carson Wentz has shown that he can do well. He may just be having an off season, which is why I'm giving him a little bit more slack.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Sam Darnold, I feel like he's just been kind of bad ever since he came into the league. Same with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz used to have a pretty good Eagles team, but they've regressed every single year since they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's been rough to be an Eagles fan. And I don't even hate the Eagles either.
Oh, I don't either.
Which is weird because I feel like a lot of people are like, I hate the Eagles. Philadelphia has the worst football team. Everybody hates them.
They're pretty aggressive fans, but I don't think
They
they're the worst.
do because they used to have a courthouse in their stadium for that reason.
Yep, very true.
Oh, that's
right.
the greatest football fact in history, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
All right.
We get into the wows and the woes.
All right, so let's start with the first wow. The Rams build a 28-3 comeback. That, in all honesty, is just...
Those were almost looking like the Falcons there, man.
Oh, I literally saw a meme, because, you know how when the Falcons lost the Super Bowl, it was Falcons fans, and then it slowly started to fade, and then it turned into a Patriots? They did the same thing with the Bills, but then it came back as the Bills logo, and they're like, LOL, just kidding.
They're like, psych!
Pretty much, and it made me happy.
But here's the thing we have to keep in mind, and I just want to gauge your thoughts on this, Shane, because I have friends who are Rams fans out there who believe that that was their game to win after building that comeback. Because the biggest thing that kind of led to the Bills being able to have that shot to turn it around after, losing, after, that comeback had happened was there was a very controversial pass interference call that happened on 4th down. Had that call not been made, the Rams would have iced the game. But it happened. It built a first down for the Bills, and they got a touchdown, and they won the game.
You know,
what are your thoughts?
This is going to be really funny, and I'm only bringing this up because we talked about it once or twice before on the podcast. I think it's karma for when they did the pass interference in the NFC Championship game for the Saints.
Oh, I love that. Oh, thank you for reminding me of that.
Because we talked about how, the Saints have been cursed ever since they had that little hit list fiasco thing.
Bountygate.
Yeah.
Bountygate.
Yes, ever since Bountygate, the Saints have been cursed in the playoffs. I think the Rams got a little bit of karma from that game as well, so...
I could see that. I was having a little bit of a laugh with the big boss at where I work. He's a big Saints fan. And so I came up to him after the Packers game, the next day, and I was like, so, what are your thoughts about some of those calls that happened in that game? And he basically said to me, he said, dude, ever since Bountygate, we've been cursed. And I'm like, well, at least you understand that. Because you guys pulled that, yes, it led to you guys getting a Super Bowl win, but because your defensive coordinator pulled that whole charade that you were basically retiring quarterbacks, whether it was Brett Favre or Kurt Warner or whoever, ever since then you've been cursed, whether it's the Minneapolis Miracle, the pass interference call with the Rams, losing to the Vikings again last year, and now this whole thing against the Raiders. The Saints are starting at 1-2.
I know, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting.
I will say, because I believe even for this game, I picked the Bills to win either way. I honestly think the Bills are just a really strong team that I feel like a lot of people are overlooking.
I think that they are a very strong team, but I don't know. I don't want to go for it just yet. I'm still predicting them to come out as a 3rd or 4th seed in the AFC. But then again, that's only because the 2 higher up teams are going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens, and that's not really a surprise.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. But Bills are definitely on the rise, and not giving any crap to the Rams or Rams fans. Rams are a good team. I just think the Bills are just really on fire this season.
I would agree, but I also would love to really kind of make that final call with the Buffalo Bills when they face off against division rivals New England Patriots. If the Bills can beat them on that one, now that they don't have Brady, then I'm going to say, okay, the Bills are for real. If they lose to the Patriots, I'm going to say, okay, it's same old Buffalo.
No, same old Buffalo is getting into the wild card, playing in the wild card game, and then losing.
Yeah. Bills Mafia, yeah.
Throw people through a table.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but let's move on to our next big news. The Browns are losers no more. That feels weird to say.
It really does. I mean, so they've ended their streak of being under 500 with their first winning season in years because of their victory over the Washington football team last week. I don't want to throw out the celebratory flag just yet because the teams that the Browns have been playing, I mean, they're 2-1 right now. The teams that the Browns have been playing and have beaten are not very good. Washington is not very good. Cincinnati is not very good. I don't want to celebrate just yet.
And then they got stomped out by the Ravens.
It's the Ravens, man. I mean, come on,
But
Lamar
that's
Jackson.
Also, but here's the thing, because we've also had this discussion where it's a division rival, and those games are usually fairly close. That game was not close in the slightest bit.
This is very true.
So,
And I don't know if that was just the Browns getting off to a rough start. Because let's be honest, like Baker Mayfield had a really bad, first game, but he's done a little bit better since then.
I'll agree with that, but I don't have faith in the Cleveland Browns team.
Oh, I'm agreeing with you. I absolutely agree. Like, I don't have faith in them either. They're not going to the playoffs.
We've seen them play one real team who is also division rival, and they got utterly destroyed. And I think they barely beat out the Bengals, and they beat the Washington football team by 14, which is good. But I think Washington is probably like in the bottom 3 of the worst teams in the NFL right now.
Exactly. Now, the Browns play the Cowboys this week. And now I understand, we all talk about how the Cowboys are a bunch of schmoes and everything like that. But they're supposed to have a lot of powerful weapons, both offensively and defensively. If the Browns can beat the Cowboys, maybe we'll start giving the Browns a little bit of respect on their name. But I don't think that's going to happen. And so until then, we're still going to be dogging on Cleveland.
Quinn said better myself. Let's move on to our next wow of the week.
Return of BDN.
Nick Foles left Jacksonville, is getting the start in Chicago now after third game Mitchell Trubisky got benched in favor of Nick Foles, who came in during the third quarter?
Third quarter, yep.
And I remember even messaging you during this game because I wasn't watching the game. I was doing something else, but I was keeping updated on the score. I was like, oh, Bears are not looking good right now. And then I saw Foles came in. I was like, oh, did Mitch get injured? I'm like, oh, no, he just got benched in favor of Foles. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then, at the very beginning, he throws an interception. I'm like, oh, McKay, looking rough already.
Yes, but remember what I told you is that interception that he threw he had made the completion. It was just that the defender had gotten the ball out of Allen Robinson's hand. Robinson. So, I mean, yes, that technically counts as an interception, but I'm going to be real with you. Nick Foles, he threw 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to beat the Falcons. Shane, I watched the highlights. Every single one of those touchdown passes was almost an interception. They were playing against a very injury-ravaged Falcons team. The Bears became the first team in NFL history to win 2 games in a season when down double digits in the fourth quarter. That's a very impressive stat, but also it's the same thing as the Cleveland Browns. The Bears are playing not good teams.
Can we also just kind of say that? We'll talk about it later. We'll get to it later.
Okay.
Because this is your team, how do you feel about the benching of Mitch and replacing it with Foles?
I'm okay with it.
And do you think Foles is going to do decent in Chicago?
I think he will have a better stint there than he did in St. Louis or Jacksonville, but I know it's not hard to do.
Gee, thanks.
Let me tell you this is my prediction. By week 7 or week 8, Foles will be hurt and Trubisky will be starting again.
Oh yeah, I can see that. But you also gotta think, you guys are 3-0 right now.
Which is weird. Like it's like, hey, the 1980s called. They want their Bears football back. Oh, I'm not kidding, man.
I know you're not kidding. That's the funny part.
We had another I was with my students today. We had another competition, and they were looking at all the stats for the NFL. Some of the players were, and they're like, "How are the Bears 3-0?" And I turn, and I'm like, "I know. I don't get it."
I miss when the Jaguars went like only losing 1 game a season. That was a good season. It's like 1997 or something. Anyways.
Anyway. Yeah.
Russell Wilson magic. Man. Like this I think is the main reason why you won that like top 5 QBs thing. Wilson is on fire this season. He beats Patrick Mahomes' record in 2018 for most touchdowns in the first 3 games, and he joins Brady, Manning, Mahomes, and Marino for throwing 4 touchdowns passes.
Breeze, not Brady.
Oh, Breeze. I'm sorry. I'm really
For
tired.
such a Tom Brady hater, you throw his name in there. Dang.
Anyways, he joins that group for throwing 4 touchdown passes in the first 3 games. So, honestly, I would honestly say that Wilson's probably the front runner for the MVP candidate.
I think he should be. Oh, yeah.
I mean, people think that he got robbed last year by Jackson getting picked over him, but both were really solid, honestly.
I think Lamar Jackson deserved to earn the MVP last year, but I disagreed with the fact that it was a unanimous voting. For Lamar. So, like, what about Russ? Yeah. Let's be honest. That's maybe Russ is starting to get his dues.
Yeah. I would think that he's, like, a little angry that he's been robbed of the MVP so many times. He's like, no, I'm getting it now.
Yeah. Speaking of really talented players, though, another one that's not a quarterback, but it's a running back. Alvin Kamara, he broke through several defenders in the Sunday game against Green Bay, scoring multiple touchdowns. Wasn't enough to win the game, but, man, was it cool to watch.
Man, I am telling you, Alvin Kamara is probably one of my favorite players, and if I remember right, it was like even last year or something, there was talk of him possibly getting traded. I don't remember if that's true, but
there was talk of a holdout too.
Yeah, like there was so much talk about him where it's like, oh no, Alvin Kamara's not that good. He's gonna get traded somewhere. I'm like, the Saints probably want to hold on to Kamara. I feel like he's something special.
Yes, and he definitely is. And speaking of special, our last wow for the week. Patrick Mahomes is the fastest player in the NFL history to reach 10K passing yards with his win over the Ravens. And this is the hard thing, Shane, is it's like, okay, obviously Russ is having a fantastic season. Mahomes is the future of the NFL. I mean, he is,
Mahomes
when it comes to like pure talent quarterback, I mean, he's just, he's everything, man.
Mahomes is the next Brady. Like, he's going to join that generational group where once he retires, he's going to be a first-name ballot on the Hall of Fame and probably get in the first year he's thrown in.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree.
Because he's even one like the younger quarterback, like one of the youngest quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl behind Big Ben, who won in his second year as a quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. Because Mahomes did it in his third year.
Yep, and his first year was his rookie year, where he was benched behind Alex Smith the whole time.
Exactly. He didn't play until his second year, and his second year he won MVP.
So his first season playing and starting in the NFL, he won MVP. His second year starting in the NFL, he got a Super Bowl MVP and the win.
Yep. And now we're going into his fourth year where he becomes the fastest player in NFL history to reach 10K passing yards.
I honestly say, because like that's the one cool thing about watching like Brady and Brees and Rodgers still play is that they're all like, especially like Brady and Brees, they have like these battles between like, what is it, the current passing yards, or is it like passing touchdown record? They're just like bouncing back and forth between the two.
Yep.
Like, I honestly think Mahomes is just gonna fly past both of them and just be like, "Hey, look, I'm like 10,000 yards ahead of both of you."
I could totally see that.
I'm also picturing it in his bleacher, in his Gridiron Heights voice as well. I love Mahomes. Like, people that say they hate Mahomes, I'm like, he's just such a fun, charismatic guy.
Yeah.
Also, congrats for him and his fiance. They're having a baby.
Yep. Babies are fun. Babies are fun.
I wouldn't know. I don't have one.
I would know. I have one.
But let's move on from our wows and let's go to some of the woes.
All right. Well, the biggest woe of the week, like this is a woe as in WOE and also a WHOA, just because wow, this was just bad. The Atlanta Falcons become the first team to lose back-to-back games when ahead in the fourth quarter, and this is afterwards. The whole 28-3 thing that happened in Super Bowl, was it 51?
I think so.
This is probably going to be the end of Dan Quinn as coach. I still don't think he's going to get fired mid-season, but he is done. This is his last year in Atlanta.
I mean, I just feel bad for Falcons fans because ever since 28-3, they have just been going down and down. Then they give this little surgent of hope to all their fans, and then by being up by a massive lead going into the fourth quarter, and then they just choke it all away, and the other team just combats and beats them.
Pretty much.
I would hate to be a Falcons fan right now.
Yeah.
It's just constant reminder of the traumatical event from the Super Bowl. Just every
exactly.
week.
It keeps coming back. However, they lost that game to the Chicago Bears, but the Bears didn't come out of it clean. Obviously, we have the whole thing with Trubisky getting benched and Foles getting the starting job ahead of, for week 4. But their running back, Tariq Cohen, who just signed a big old extension, tore his ACL. He joins the crew of a lot of other NFL players who have torn ACLs. He's out for the rest of the season. Shane, do you think this means trouble for the Bears for the rest of the season?
I mean, this is definitely your team. I think it hurts that Cohen is out, but I don't think it's game-breaking for the Chicago Bears team itself.
Yeah, I kind of always felt like Cohen I feel like was good as in the slot and stuff like that, but David Montgomery is the number 1 running back for the Bears. And also, when it comes to punt returning or especially crucial third downs, you go with Cordarrelle Patterson because that guy's just going to steamroll everyone.
Yeah, I think it sucks for you guys, but I don't think you guys are going to be terribly affected by it.
It is not as big of a loss as, say, Saquon Barkley or Nick Bosa tearing their ACL.
Yeah. There's a lot of ACLs this year.
It's quite bad.
It's real bad.
Speaking of quite bad is Carson Wentz's performance throughout this whole season. He happened to only tie with the Bengals, the terrible Bengals squad that's trying to get it together with Joe Burrow. They only tied its first tie of the season. We have the title that says Bench Wentz. Wentz has thrown 6 interceptions in his first 3 games. And Eagles fans are now publicly calling for Wentz to be benched in favor of rookie QB Jalen Hurts.
I mean, that's what happened to Nick Foles in Jacksonville. He was doing really bad, and literally, if you watch the game, the entire crowd started chanting, "Put Minshew in," and then after that first half, they put Minshew back in.
Oh, it's completely understandable. You break a collarbone, and you you were uncomfortable with the offensive scheme, and then you have a rookie who's basically the love of the city. Yeah, of course you're gonna do terrible.
Once again, reminded by the Bleacher Report when Wentz was like, "Everybody loves my backup more than me," and he goes to Carson Wentz and he's like, "Oh, now you know how it feels."
Now Wentz is the one who's doing really terribly right now.
All right. Speaking of doing terrible, Kyler Murray had a really rough day. He throws three interceptions in a loss to the Detroit Lions. That is very rough to look at for the offensive rookie of the year from last year.
I mean, we're gonna have to see Shane in this. When the Cardinals play the Panthers tomorrow, if it's gonna make a difference. Was it just an off day for Murray, or are we gonna see more of that? You know what I mean? I don't think we want to spend too much time on this, just because I think, there's not much to go off of other than the fact that he just had a bad game and that he could rebound from that.
Oh, I will agree, but you do know that I've been saying I don't think Murray was the best rookie from last year. Definitely think it was Jacobs, the running back of the Raiders, was probably the best rookie, but we'll keep an eye on Murray for now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We also need to keep an eye on the Saints because they don't look like the Saints that we're used to. They are 1-2 after a tough loss to the Packers. Do you think it's time to start worrying about the Saints? Do you think it's time to start pushing the panic button?
I don't think so quite yet. I think there was a bigger panic when they got kind of shut out by the Las Vegas Raiders in the Raiders' new stadium. But the Packers have been kind of steamrolling over most people, and they kept that game really close. So I think the Saints still have a lot of fight in them.
And there were some questionable calls made by the refs during that game that went in the favor of the Packers that made me shake my head.
But like I've been saying this whole time, the refs need better training on how to be a better ref and not overlook obvious penalties.
Yeah, and just sometimes just let them play. Yeah, I get that.
Let them play. Decide when it's best to let them play, and decide when it's like something that really changes the game, like neutral zone infraction, or calling delay of games like at the very end of play instead of delay of game, stopping the play, calling it dead, and then starting up again. Pass interference that were very blatant but just never called. I think refs just need to be better trained.
I would agree, but we've been talking about this for a long time, and it just feels like they're just never going to come to a complete decision on that.
I mean, I understand they're human; it's different when you're actually on there and doing it. But there are some where I'm like, okay, come on. There's like 5+ of you out there. How did not a single one of you think, that looked a little fishy?
Yeah. And unfortunately, with the results of that Packers and Saints game, that does kind of destroy our prediction of the Saints having a 15-1 season and going back to the Super Bowl, because obviously they're 1-2 right now, so that's not going to work. But, well, we didn't say we were going to be perfect on our predictions.
Nope. Speaking of kind of predictions and talking how Saints are 1-2, there's 3 teams I think everybody's kind of shocked that they are 0-3, and that's the Broncos, Texans, and the Vikings.
The Broncos are now 1-3.
Okay, 1-3. Technically, yeah, because they just barely beat the Jets, who were one of the worst teams, and they beat it with like their second or third string quarterback. I don't know. They've been like throwing quarterbacks all over the place lately.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The Texans and the Vikings, those are 2 teams I think, like, before the start of the season, we were predicting that they would either win their division or be, like, at the very top of their division. Both of them are starting out 0-3. Texans, I'm willing to forgive because they started off with the Chiefs. Then they immediately went to the Ravens. And I was like, yeah, those are, like, probably 2 of the roughest games you could start with. And then they go to a Steelers team who has been really, really solid on all fronts and barely lose. Solid.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily am worried for the Texans. I think they're going to rebound once they have, like, a little bit of a less hard-hitting game. But the Vikings, on the other hand, yeesh.
Yeah, let's definitely talk about that a little bit more, because the Vikings and the Texans are playing each other. So one of them is going to finally get a win this week.
Yeah, we're going to discuss that in our predictions, but one of them's going to get a win, but I'm going to leave the Broncos out because Drew Lock, like you and me have talked about, we think that he is really good, but he got injured, and that really is going to hurt the Broncos' chances this year, but I think he's going to be really good if he comes back in full recovery.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what do you say? Let's get into these predictions for this week. Let's hit this pretty quickly because we've already spent a lot of time talking.
Okay, before we make our predictions, we're just going to go over last week. McKay, you got 7 wins right and technically 1 tie because of the Eagles and Bengals game. I got 9
Yeah, that's right.
right with the 1 tie. So that brings our totals now, because you were up ahead of me by like 3. I'm now 1 game behind you, going 29 with 1 tie. You have 30 and 1 tie.
I hate this so much. I had such a lead on you. I hate this so much. You had my you yeah you got a profanity laced text from me this morning when I was like, oh man, are you that close to me now? I was so mad.
Oh, I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh, this feels good. I got back on track in last week. Here's the thing. So our first 2 weeks, we both were averaging 10 right. You dropped you went down to 7 last week. I only dropped 1 game from our average of 10 from so far. So
No, I blew it last week.
I had a feeling that last week there was gonna be a good amount of upsets or like kind of like back and forth surprise games. So I think honestly the ones where you lost was the ones where we basically flipped a coin on.
Yeah, like Rams and Bills, stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much. But let's start off. So Broncos versus Jets. I said 27-10 Broncos. You said 23-10 Broncos. They already played each other. The final score is 37-28. Broncos beating the Jets.
Yeah, not really a surprise there. Jets are still the worst team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and it's not even close, I don't think.
I'm waiting for them to fire Adam Gase. I'm just waiting for it.
Maybe at the end of the season, maybe.
Oh, he's got to get fired mid-season.
I mean, Jaguars are saying the same thing about defensive coordinator Todd Wash, but there's no sign of that happening.
Yeah. But the first game, though, that hasn't happened yet, and I think it's going to be kind of like our first one that we're reporting on for tomorrow, Saints versus Lions. Shane, the Saints are going to even it up here because, your prediction is 34-17. Saints minus 31-21 Saints. I think that the Lions will get off to a little bit of a good start because they kind of always do with Matthew Stafford, but I think the Saints are going to be too much to stop them. And yeah, the Saints will make it 2-2.
I think Alvin Kamara is just going to run over the Lions, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's move on, because I feel like we both agree that's a very easy game. Chargers versus Buccaneers. This one was actually a little tough for me, honestly. So, I said 27-18 Buccaneers. You said 25-19 Buccaneers. I honestly think the Chargers are going to give the Buccaneers a good fight, especially considering they went into overtime with the Kansas City Chiefs. And they've been the only team that's actually been close to beating the Chiefs this season so far.
This is very true.
I think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are honestly just going to be a little too much because I think the Buccaneers are starting to find more and more of a rhythm as the season progresses.
Yeah, you missed my joke that I made earlier, Shane.
What was it? I want to hear it.
Because I gave my prediction, you gave your prediction, and I was like, "What do you think, Caleb?" Because my son is right here with me right now, and I was like, "What do you think?" And he was kind of just like, because he's starting to babble a little bit. Yeah. It was funny. I was like, "Okay, I don't know if that means Saints or Lions, but I'm sorry."
Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to train him right, so I'm pretty sure he's going to say the Saints.
Yeah, he should know. He should know the Saints are great.
And the Lions are bad.
Considering his mother is a very big BYU fan, he's going to love Taysom Hill. So, yeah, he'll probably grow up a Saints fan more so than a Bears fan. Who knows?
I mean, that's not even something to be disappointed in, honestly. he could grow up to be a Vikings fan. Now, that would be something.
Or a Cowboys fan.
Oh, no. We don't allow that here. So we got Chargers versus Buccaneers.
Anyway, moving on. Shane, we've got the battle. Yeah. Well, we mentioned our predictions for there. We both think the Bucs are going to do it, but the Chargers will give them a fight. We got a cat fight right after that, though. Jaguars versus Bengals, man.
I'm saying this one is going to be close because, honestly, the Jaguars are riddled with injuries right now. The Bengals just aren't that good. I'm saying the Jaguars are going to edge it out 27-24. I'm hoping that DJ Chark is going to be in this game, and if he's in it, I think that will solidify the Jaguars' win.
Yeah, I would agree. My prediction is 24-22. It's a little closer, but I have the Jaguars winning. Shane, I'm going to make one more additional prediction with this. I'm going to say that the Jaguars defense is going to get 3 or more sacks on Joe Burrow.
Really?
And the Bengals defense is going to get 3 or more sacks on Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, here's the thing. The sacking of Joe Burrow looking at the offensive line or looking at that defensive pass rush, the way Todd Wash has it set up is that they play very like back. They play very, very
Uh-huh.
reserved and give everybody too much time in the pocket and too much separation from the wide receivers. The only one really pressuring them that's like consistently pressuring them is Josh Allen, who is usually double teamed on every play.
Yeah, well, and obviously they have to. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched a Jaguars game at all, but do you feel like they're maybe just using too much man to man and not enough blitz?
They're using almost zero blitz for, like, I think they blitz maybe 3 times a game.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For some reason, the Jaguars defense is being very reserved here. Hopefully, though, that despite all that, the Jaguars will be the ones who beat out the Bengals.
I'm praying for that. I don't want to fall to 1-3.
Yeah. I'm praying for that too, because then I don't have to hear you moan and whinge about it.
Shut up. Not everyone could be 3-0 right now.
I don't know how we're 3-0, okay?
Nobody does.
I know. Speaking of 3-0, but 0-3. Our next
Yeah, we got the Vikings versus Texans.
the next game is the Vikings and Texans game,
which is postponed, which is sad. But we both agree we think that the Texans are going to walk away with the win, but it will be a fairly close fight, I think.
This one's not postponed.
Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking Titans and Steelers. Sorry, I was thinking because like they were testing the Vikings locker room after the Titans game and everything.
That's right, yeah. And so you and I mean, you said 37-32 Texans. I said 32-28 Texans. I think you and I were in agreement that the Vikings will keep it close because their offense it goes pretty hard. The Vikings offense does, but the Vikings defense is garbage right now.
It's also going to depend on how Kirk Cousins plays.
Yes, okay, obviously he is inconsistent as well, but I feel like, with him and Dalvin Cook, they can get offense going, but the Vikings defense is a mess. But the Texans defense isn't much better, but they also have Deshaun Watson. So in our opinion, because we agree on this, Texans will come out with the win, but the Vikings will stay with them.
Oh, yeah. So let's move on to Seahawks versus Dolphins. I think this one's going to be kind of a blowout. Even though the Dolphins won Thursday night primetime against the Jaguars, I think the Seahawks are honestly just too scary of a team for the Dolphins to handle. I think the Seahawks are going to take it 35-17.
I said 28-17. I'm just saying 28-17 because I think eventually the Seahawks are going to take their foot off the gas a little bit and be like, all right, we can handle this. The reason, though, that I think you and I both agreed of the Dolphins scoring 17, though, where, it's potentially 2 touchdowns and a field goal, is because the Seahawks defense is actually quite a mess right now.
Yeah. But I don't think that defense is going to really give away too many points to the Dolphins, even with that.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Dolphins got a long road ahead of them despite their 1 win.
Oh, yeah. Steelers versus Titans, I guess we can skip that one for now because we got to come back to that later. Towards the end of the month.
Yep.
Our next one is Browns versus Cowboys. Shane, you said 27-17, Cowboys win. I said 31-16, Cowboys win. I think we're kind of going off of this just because it's the Cleveland Browns, and this might be an easy win for the Cowboys. But if the Browns end up pulling this out, we're not complaining.
No, and who knows? You might curse the Cowboys like you did last season.
Not complaining.
I mean, I'll complain a little bit just because I want tie you or pass you in our predictions, but I'm not gonna complain if the Cowboys lose.
I mean, but if you think about it too, this game right here, technically the Browns, they have a better winning record than the Cowboys do right now. But the Browns have not been playing as very good teams, whereas the Cowboys, their 2 losses have come to the Seahawks and the Rams, and their 1 win came against the Falcons, who
choked it away. So
it'll be interesting. The Cowboys could potentially be 0-3 right now.
Yeah, stupid Falcons doing nothing for anybody.
for the
Let's move
Bears.
on to the Cardinals versus Panthers. This one we actually disagree on. I'm saying
you said-
24-21, the Panthers are going to edge it out. You're saying 24-20, the Cardinals are going to take it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that because I think Kyler Murray will be able to rebound just a little bit, but it will still be a close game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, the Panthers are definitely hurting without Christian McCaffrey, but they showed last week that even without McCaffrey, letting Teddy Bridgewater kind of go and do what he wants, they were able to kind of put a beat down.
I think it would be interesting. I think the defense for the Panthers, if that holds up, they could potentially beat the Cardinals.
I think this is one of our games where we're both at a coin flip on who's going to win, but it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Right.
As long as Kyler Murray can stay clean, unlike last week.
Absolutely.
All right.
Next game we got Bears versus Colts. Shane, you and I, even though the Bears are 3-0, you and I both got the Colts winning it because we're kind of counting on that number 1 ranked defense in the Colts to kind of pull through against Nick Foles, wouldn't you say?
Definitely that. I also got to say, Phillip Rivers having an actual offensive line to protect him is kind of scary because when he was in San Diego and even then when they moved to LA, he didn't really have much of a line, and now that he has a line, he has so much more time, and he's already one of the fastest ball releasers in the NFL, so yes. I think the Colts are a little scary with him.
We will have to see what happens there though. Because I'm curious, it's supposed to be an offensive line that's giving him more time, but now this offensive line in this game has to hold back Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Akeem Hicks. They have to
hold back a scary front.
Giant wrecking balls. It will have to. It'll be interesting to see how well that's going to happen, and if Rivers is going to get sacked and all. But however, the thing is Nick Foles hasn't really proven himself as as the good quarterback yet, and the Colts have the number 1 ranked defense in the league right now.
Yeah. Oh man, it's definitely gonna be an interesting game. I'm actually really excited for this game.
I think it'll be good. You said 27-24 Colts. I said 23-21. We're keeping it close, but we both say the Colts will win. If the Bears do win and go 4-0, we might need to start talking.
You might have a heart attack if you start 4-0.
Yeah, it'd be is this real? Or is this just 2020 playing pranks on us again?
Let's move on to Ravens versus Washington. I think this one's kind of short, simple. Ravens are going to kind of dominate the Washington football team. I'm saying they're winning 33-13. You're saying they're winning 28-10.
But we don't need to go into this very much. We know that Washington's beat up. Chase Young is hurt. Their offense isn't very good, and the Ravens will have a heyday with them.
The only thing that I would say that might be worth talking about, do you think Alex Smith could potentially come in and play a few snaps in this game?
Oh, I would be okay with that, but I don't know. I'm going to say no.
Okay. I really just want to see him come back and at least do 3 to 5 snaps before walking out forever.
Right, for sure.
All right, that moves us to Giants versus Rams. My goodness,
Again,
I feel like a lot of these games are straightforward for us.
Yeah. You said 28-14 Rams. I said 27-15 Rams. The Giants are pretty much in not good shape now that Saquon Barkley's out for the rest of the season. The Rams are going to have a good day with them.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say the Rams might even get over 30, possibly in the 40s, but that's being a little ambitious for me personally.
Yeah.
A little too ambitious, but let's move on to one of the more exciting matchups for tomorrow afternoon. Patriots versus Chiefs.
Which may or may not happen.
Yeah, which is sad. I hope it does. It might get pushed back to Monday or Tuesday. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm saying the Chiefs are going to take it 31-21. You're saying Chiefs are going to take it 33-24. I think we would both agree that it would be a lot closer if the Chiefs just didn't kind of stomp out the Ravens recently.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think just because that, and because Cam Newton's going into quarantine, they're probably going to pull out Jarrett Stidham. It's going to be a Chiefs game.
Yeah, but let's move on to Bills versus Raiders.
You and I are both going with the Bills on this one. I mean, sure, the Raiders had a good game against the Saints, but
That was
You said
2 weeks
31
ago.
What did you say?
That was 2 weeks ago.
Was 2 weeks ago. You said 31 to 24 Bills. I said 27 to 23 Bills. We're both kind of going with that. Caleb's being very vocal right now. Maybe he thinks the Raiders are going to win, but I don't know.
He's trying to tell you, he's like, no, the Raiders are going to win, Dad. I know this.
Yeah, he's.
He's like, I'm the expert here.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next game. Oh, the Eagles versus the 49ers. This is going to be close simply because the 49ers are riddled with injuries and the Eagles are bad.
You and I are still going with the Niners, though. You said 27-21. I said 26-21. And both of us, yeah, we're just like, okay, it's going to be the Niners game, but...
I mean, look what the Niners did last week with basically half their team being second string.
Exactly.
Like, it's not much of a competition. And that's going to bring us to our last game, the Monday Night Football showdown between the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. My goodness, this was supposed to be a good game.
Why is this a Monday Night Football game? This is going to be such a crap show.
Well, here's the thing. I think at the start of the season, like, this would have actually been a really awesome game to watch, and then just seeing how the Falcons have progressed this season, it's like, okay, this is going to be a terrible game. Let's just not have it on prime time.
Yeah, but again, when it comes to primetime, Shane, I feel like who is making the decisions for all these schedules? Because who scheduled Jaguars versus Dolphins? Like, no one expected those teams to be good at the preseason. Same thing with the Broncos and the Jets. Why were they scheduled for Thursday Night Football?
Okay, but you gotta look at this. Nobody really cares about Thursday Night Football that much. It's mainly Sunday and Monday night.
This is true.
Thursday is the one that they just like, okay, we just want to see two teams just beat each other up for a while.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But with this one, I feel like at the start of the season, it would have been a lot more interesting, but seeing how the Falcons have just kind of choked everything away, and then they're coming off against a really, really hot Packers team when the Packers are playing at home, I think it's Packers all day, 34-21.
I absolutely agree. My prediction, though, is just 31-20 with the Packers winning.
Yeah, not too many, not, yeah, it's going to be a fun game. But then we have the bonus Thursday game for Week 5. We got the Buccaneers versus the Bears.
I think Tom Brady will still be able to get the win out of this. Will it be a little closer? Yeah, maybe a little bit. You said 27-17. I said 30-24. We're keeping it within 6 or 7 points. The Buccaneers might struggle a little bit, with the defense there. Tom Brady might, take a couple of hits, but I feel like the Buccaneers will still be able to pull out the win.
Man, I just feel bad for you and your Bears because if our predictions are true, they're gonna go from 3-0 to 3-2 in less than a week.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I'm being honest.
Oh no, I totally understand. It's just I feel bad for you because that's like having such high hopes for the season going 3-0 and then you're one loss away from breaking even at that point.
To be honest, though, we're not having high hopes about being 3-0. This is all a fluke. Every single one of those games has been super close against not very good teams.
Yep. Well, I guess we'll just have to see, because I still feel like I'm on the fence with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't necessarily know where to place them in power rankings necessarily, or how good they are or how bad they are, because I feel like their schedule's just kind of been all over the place with either a pretty bad team or a really good team.
Yeah, that's true.
I want a middle of the pack team to kind of solidify where I think they are.
Yep, definitely.
But
that
go ahead.
That basically that takes care of our predictions there.
That it does.
We don't really have a set for the fun this week because we didn't really end up getting it off. So I guess we'll need to do one next Saturday, huh?
I mean, we kind of had a mini one where we thought of our top 5 QBs and our bottom 5 QBs in the NFL right now.
I think that's probably what we're probably going to have to call that for this week and then get our other one that we had in mind more refined for next Saturday, huh?
Yeah, it's literally just for everybody watching, this weekend is a very, very busy weekend for both of us. So I think we both just kind of were don't necessarily have the time. Please forgive us. We'll ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Yes, definitely.
But I think that is probably going to conclude it for this episode. Honestly, just looking back over our predictions or everything, I feel like this week's gonna be kind of a more relaxing week in the NFL. There's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be some fun games to watch, and then some games that are like, okay, you can kind of guess who's gonna win it.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah, McKay, anything that you want to add for our viewers? Because I have absolutely nothing to add.
Oh, I'm good. I'm just, hoping that maybe we can dial it down a little bit on the injuries in the NFL and a little bit on the COVID tests. Or not the COVID tests, but the COVID positive tests.
I will agree. I just want my football to last all season to have my Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
With that, everyone, have a nice evening. We hope to catch you again next time.
Have a good night.